Hello and welcome to this webinar entitled Data Protection and Subject Access Requests, What You Need to Know with me, Keith Markham. As always, let's begin by having a look at the agenda. We've got a very wide-ranging agenda for this session today. So we're going to start by looking at kind of an overview. So we'll look at where we can obtain further guidance. We'll look at some of the key provisions, and in particular, we'll look at Article 15 of the UK GDPR, which sets out sort of the basic rules on this. We'll then go on to talk about the requirements. So essentially here we're going to talk about kind of the formalities that have to be in place before a controller will respond to such a request. So we're going to look at recognizing a request, how to check the identity of the person making the request. We're going to look at issues around clarification, fees, and timing. And then we will move on to look at the next issue, which is, okay, once we've satisfied those requirements, or once the data subject has satisfied those requirements, the expectation is that the controller will make a reasonable search. What does that include? What does that not include? What's the current position? What's the guidance from case law on that? We'll see there's a particularly important case called Ashley and HMRC that will help us with that particular topic, and indeed some of the other topics we're going to look at in the remainder of the session. We'll then talk about exemptions. So typically there are indeed exemptions with regard to things like legal professional privilege and third-party rights and so on. We'll have a look at those. And then we're going to look at how we physically provide the information. So once we've gone through the search process and applied the exemptions and decided what we're going to provide, how do we physically hand it over? In what format? What is acceptable? What is not acceptable? We'll have a look at that. And then finally, at the end, we will look very briefly at enforcement, and we'll see there are a number of examples of reprimands of organisations who have not complied with these rules to date.